Good morning. The June 17th, 2024 work session for the Douglas County Board of Commissioners will come to order. Welcome, citizens of Douglas County. County Clerk, please read the roll for the record.
Yes, sir.
Take the roll.
Commissioner District 1, Ricky Dobbs, is absent. Commissioner District 3, Whitney Kenner Jones.
District 2.
I'm sorry.
Present.
Commissioner District 4, Vice Chair Mark Alcaraz.
Present.
Chairman Phil Miller.
I'm here, thank you. Commissioners, are there any changes that need to be made to the agenda? Being none, the agenda stands as approved as presented. As a reminder, each commissioner will have 3 minutes to make remarks and 2 minutes for rebuttal. Clerk, did we have anyone to sign up for public comment?
No, sir, we did not.
All right. Next on the agenda is the meeting minutes. Commissioners review the minutes before tomorrow's meeting. Prepare to accept the financial budget report for the month of May during tomorrow's commission meeting. We will have a proclamation presented tomorrow proclaiming the month of June the 2024 as National Home Ownership Month in Douglas County. Unfortunately, that's becoming less and less because of the expense of homes. We will now begin with our agenda items. Clerk, would you please begin with the first item?
Yes, sir. Number 5, we have a grant authorization to accept the fiscal year 25 Criminal Justice Coordinating Council Accountability Court Operating Grant to fund state DUI court in the amount of $130,871 with a cash match of $19,631 to be funded through the department's budget by the DUI drug court coordinator salary, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. And Joshua Bess is here, I believe. He was. I don't see him here. I saw him a few minutes ago, but we can come back to that one. So number 6 is authorization to accept the fiscal year 25 Criminal Justice Coordinating Council Accountability Court Operating Grant to fund Family Treatment Court in the amount of $137,501 with a cash match of $24,265 to be funded through the Juvenile Administration Department's budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Jamie Deppermont.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. How are you doing? This grant is the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council's operating grant that funds our family treatment court, in part forms our family treatment court. We've been receiving this funding for approximately 11 years, I believe. So this is just a continuation of that grant that we receive every year.
Any questions or comments? Thank you, sir. No, you're up again, huh?
Yep. Back to back.
Okay, number 7 is authorization to accept the fiscal year 25 Criminal Justice Coordinating Council Accountability Court Operating Grant to fund Chance Court in the amount of $131,558 with a cash match of $23,216 to be funded through the Juvenile Administration Department's budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Jamie?
And again, this is the operating grant for our Chance Court program. Chance Court is a juvenile treatment court, drug and mental health treatment court. This will be the 3rd year that we've received this funding.
Questions or comments? Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 8 is authorization to accept the fiscal year 25 Criminal Justice Coordinating Council Accountability Court Operating Grant to fund Adult Mental Health Court in the amount of $133,992 with a cash match of $20,099 to be funded through the department's budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Teresa Gordy.
Morning.
Good morning. This is our adult mental health operating grant funded by CJCC. I think it's about the 4th year or 4th or 5th year that we've received this funding.
Any questions or comments? Thank you, dear.
Thank you. Number 9 is authorization to accept the fiscal year 25 Criminal Justice Coordinating Council Accountability Court operating grant to fund adult felony drug court in the amount of $526,460 with a cash match of $78,969 to be funded through the department's budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Teresa?
Again, this is our annual funding, operating grant for our funding for the adult drug court. We're also, we had to roll Veterans Court into the drug court this year because of we kept trying to increase the census in our Veterans Court, but we just couldn't get it above 5 or 6. And so they recommended that we combine the two. We still have a Veterans Court, but the funding's just together since our census was so small.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments?
I just wanted to reserve my comments to the end because it's relevant to all of those agenda items. But I just want the members of the public who are watching this to recognize that when they are asking for Douglas County to be doing things that reduce recidivism, that address people's mental health, that keep families together, this is the entry-level work. So while it says that it's attached to a court, they really are diversionary programs to either help people reduce their sentences, not criminalize people that have mental health issues. So I would be in favor of these items because that is exactly what the community is asking for you all to do from a juvenile court perspective, state court, magistrate court, and the superior court level. So I do appreciate you all applying for these grants to make sure that we can offer our residents those services.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Next, please.
Thanks. I believe Joshua Bess is here now, so we'll go back to
Okay.
number 5 is authorization to accept the fiscal year 25 Criminal Justice Coordinating Council Accountability Court operating grant to fund state DUI court in the amount of $130,871 with a cash match of $19,631 to be funded through the department's budget by the DUI drug court coordinator salary, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Joshua Bess.
Good morning.
Morning.
I apologize for my tardiness. Good morning, members of the board. Yes, like Ms. Gordy said, this is our annual grant that we receive from the CJCC, the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, that helps us to fund our DUI/drug court program that has helped many of our citizens of Douglas County to overcome their substance abuse issues and reduce recidivism, as you said, for those individuals who are dealing with substance abuse issues. So we just ask that you guys accept this grant that we've been doing for quite a few years now. So.
Any questions or comments? Thank you, Joshua.
Thank you. We'll begin with our business items. Number 10 is approval of the Douglas County Community Branding logo. Yvette Jones.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, members of the board and county administration. It is a pleasure to stand before you today to ask for your approval on an initiative that's been many months in the making. So if you will indulge me for just a second. I could only get the mouse to cooperate with me. Okay. Okay, as I mentioned, this has been months in the making, coordinated between the Office of Communications and the Graphic Operations Department. And it is an initiative to refine and define our brand. And so the goal, again, was to identify who we are, who we want, how we want to be presented to the public. So the key questions were, who are we, and how are we best identified? So there are some familiar monikers: Celebrate Douglas County Happenings, Douglas County Board of Commissioners, Douglas County Government, and several others, but these were the key ones. And then, of course, there are some familiar images. There is the official county seal, And that is what you see to the left of your screen. It's the, the green and the gold. And then there was the 2019 community logo, the blue, the lighter blue, and the white. That became very familiar. So as we looked at this, there were some key issues that we discovered. The logo design, that 2019 courthouse design with the blue and the white, and branding guide from 2019 was incomplete, and there wasn't a managed rollout for that logo. The 2019 logo has been modified without particular guidance and consistency, and there is some confusion at times regarding the use of the county seal versus the county logo. And so you'll see some examples of that here, right? And it has been modified for the use of different departments to their, to their needs. And so you'll see those variations there. So in January of 2024, even though these conversations began much earlier, the Office of Communications spearheaded a branding shift. And so we began with the name. How are we known, right? And so we decided to put everything under one umbrella, Douglas County Government. And so that began the shift. Our website transitioned from Douglas County, celebratedouglascounty.com to douglascountyga.gov. We did that in January of this year. And at the same time, our social media transitioned from Douglas County Happenings to Douglas County Government. And creating that cohesiveness was very, very important in terms of branding and understanding how people recognize and know who you are. And so then it was time to tackle the brand image. How do people identify you? And so logo redesign and discussions and drafts began in earnest. We had plenty of conversations about this, but then we got to work. And so the goals were to integrate a nod to the past, those green and gold colors, those elements from the county seal, in addition to that logo. We say 2019, it's 2021 up there. And modernize the design. Let's make a contemporary design, type style, letter case, secondary colors, abstract elements. And let's make the logo complementary to the county seal because we weren't making adjustments to that. And then the thought was to design beyond the courthouse dome because as you recall, that 2019 logo is centered around the dome. Well, what happens when or if we're no longer in this building? How is Douglas County recognized? So those were the considerations. And we considered the media, the places where images would appear: print, video, website, social, signage, apparel, vehicles, promotional products. And we used a team approach with communications and graphic operations, personnel expertise, to kind of vet these different ideas and options. And we researched other counties and cities who were successful in branding change. So you see some of those different logos there. And we looked across the country as well, and we talked with peers and counterparts in other areas about what was successful for them, what was their approach, how did they come to where they were. And so, with all of those things in mind, and many, many, many months, and many, many, many iterations, we have come up with what we think is a fantastic design that we hope meets your approval today. It is what we believe is a fresh new start. And this is our new Douglas County logo. And at this moment, I would like to bring to the podium Mark Poole, who is the supervisor of our graphic operations department, so we can talk a little bit about this design and what the different elements are. Let's see.
Good morning.
Morning, Mark.
So this was quite a process to go through, sort of identifying what we were trying to accomplish. You saw the list, and we feel like this is the ultimate design that meets all that criteria we were looking for. So it is a nod to the past. We're going from the green and the gold into the darker blue and the light blue. So going from the seal into the old courthouse dome logo. with a little bit of red, just that elevated look. And if you look closely, it's an arrow. And again, that supports the One Douglas initiative that we had come up with in the past, and starting to use arrows as a supporting graphic element to some of the other graphics that we'll be doing from PowerPoint presentations, business cards, that kind of thing. One of the things that really sold this design to us was how well it appeared in the other formats that it will be used in. So we're showing here, a black and white version, both in a positive and a negative format, as well as a one-color version. And even in this one color, without all the colors and without the story, this image still stands strong, and it's still a unique image, and it'll be something easy to associate Douglas County with going forward.
Thank you, Mark. And so as Mark sits down, these are some different areas in which, we wanted to give some samples of what it might look like on letterhead, business cards, envelopes. So you see that there. And then what it looks like on other assets. So vehicles, T-shirts, banners, just in all ways, we feel really, really good about it. And so what are the next steps? We need to develop an implementation plan upon your approval and identify costs. We'll work with departments to inventory assets in need of change. And there's some things that we can do now relatively quickly within the next few weeks or so. Email signatures, letterhead, business cards, miscellaneous collateral material, and social media, of course. And then there will be a phased approach to other assets, the website, vehicles, building, road signage, all of those different things. And then develop a comprehensive branding guide. This is what we believe was missing before for internal and external reference. How do you use the seal versus how and when do you use the seal versus how and when do you use the logo? And really working hand in hand with departments on developing adaptations of this for their use and purpose, and really having some structured guidance on how and when that logo is used, like I said, both internally and externally. And so with this taking place in different phases, we feel good about the first quarter of 2025 it being completed, but we'll begin, like I said, within the next few weeks with some of the things that we can do immediately. And so with that, I'd just like to say thank you, first of all, to our county administration, Dr. David Corbin, for his support and encouragement through this process. Tiffany Stewart-Stanley, who is our Chief of Staff, Assistant County Administrator, who has worked hand in hand with us and seen many of the iterations, many of which were always carried in top secret envelopes. And finally, to our Board of Commissioners, we thank you for everything you do to support the Office of Communications and Graphic Operations. And I would be remiss if I didn't take just a quick moment before I sit down or indulge some questions to ask. You've seen Mark Poole. I'd like to ask Levante Mooring in the back to stand up with our Graphic Operations Department. So there's one thing to have a vision, and as these gentlemen know, since the moment I got here, I've talked about wanting to really work on our branding. So it's one thing to have that vision, but it's another thing to execute the vision and somebody bring it to life. And so these are the gentlemen who actually took all of that and brought it to life. And so I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you to both of you. And with that, I yield for any questions.
Do we have any comments or questions?
So is this the first, I guess, step towards the reinvesting in Douglas County so that we can move Douglas County forward or rebuild?
I believe it is. I believe it is because I think, in some ways we've had a little bit of a fractured identity, and some of that starts with, well, who are we? How are we known? What is our name? Is it the green and the gold? Is it this blue? And is it this manipulation of the blue and white? So I believe bringing everything under one umbrella starts that process of, unifying everybody. We adopted a slogan in 2023, One Douglas Forward Together. So this falls under that and ties that all together. So by unifying and bringing everything under the Douglas County government umbrella and then beginning to make identifiable assets that go along with that, I believe it is one of the biggest steps in moving us forward.
Thank you.
Anyone else? This cost is in this budget for this year, and then we will, I guess, add to your budget next year in order to implement this. Is
That is my hope and prayer, sir. Thank you
Okay.
very much. But the things we can do that are free.com, we will be doing those free.com things. And the other thing is we have a fantastic graphic operations department. And so a lot of the things we might have in the past had to outsource, a lot of that we're bringing in-house as well. Not that there's not a cost attached to it, but it's not as huge a cost. So we feel good about that as well.
Yeah, I'm impressed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Commissioner Alcaraz, or Vice Chair Alcaraz?
Yeah, because I just have a feeling I can already hear some of the comments that might come forward from this. But, you know, we are going to utilize all of our current, documents or letterheads, everything right now. We'll phase that through so that
Absolutely.
we're not just throwing everything away and starting fresh. We're going to make sure that we're being conservative about this and using all of our materials and resources up first before we implement this, correct?
Yes, we will not allow a rush on the graphic operations department to change everything out. What we're saying is utilize everything you have, and then we will have that incremental phase. So, things like, the intangible things like electronic, website, email signatures and those sorts of things. We can do that.
Sure.
Without any pain point to that. And then remember, we are not changing the seal. And so as we go through this process, it will be a process of determining, well, which things still maintain the seal and which things will maintain the county logo. And so we'll be judicious about that as well.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 11, approval of a memorandum of understanding between Douglas County and Cobb Douglas Public Health for use of county properties during mass distribution of medical countermeasures at no cost to the county, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. James Queen.
Good morning. This is a memorandum that we've had in place for many years. There's been a change in leadership over at Cobb Douglas Public Health and also within the county here. So they're just wanting to update the memorandum, showing that, these things have changed. It's still just a use of, basically it would use our parks for distribution of any medications or medical countermeasures.
Okay. Questions, comments? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Number 12 is approval of a professional services contract with CBM Atlanta, Inc. in the amount of $7,277.03 per month for janitorial night cleaning service at the Douglas County Courthouse to be funded through Building Services Department budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Stephanie Morgan.
Good morning.
Morning.
This is just our night cleaning service. It was due to be put out for bids, and we went through procurement and did that, and we were able to come up with a vendor, CBM.
Okay. Questions or comment?
I have one. How many, proposals did you all receive?
8, I believe.
And was this the best quote
Yes.
that you received?
Yes, there was a scoring process through technical and cost, and CBM scored the highest.
And is this on par with what previous years' night cleaning services has been, or is this?
Yes, it's in line with the cost as far, yes.
I yield, Chairman.
Any other comments? These are different than the people we're using now?
No, actually, they ended up being the same.
Oh, okay, good. I think they do a great job.
They do. We've been very happy with them.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Number 13, approval of the Douglas County E911 Department to enter into a 1-year agreement for on-site shredding of confidential data with C.W. Austin Company in the amount of $105 per quarter to be funded through the 2024 E911 budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Katrina Harley.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, Board of Commissioners. This is just simply an agreement to establish a relationship with a new shredding service to service 911 confidential data to shred on site. Our previous vendor indicated to us that they would no longer be able to accommodate us in that way, and so we had to find a new service.
Okay. Questions or comments?
Thank you.
That sounds awfully reasonable.
It is.
That's unusual for us
Yeah.
to say that, but
It
that's,
is.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Number 14, I have a slight correction in the Douglas Ford reinvestment plan, but I'll read it as it should read. Approval to award a contract to EME Construction in the amount of $247,884.62 for the HVAC revitalization project previously approved from the 2022 budget revisit, to be funded through the General Capital Fund, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. James Worthington.
Gotcha. I apologize for that error.
That's okay.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board and administration. As read, this is just phase 2 of the HVAC revitalization project. Some of you will recall we did phase 1 last year, where we went through we focused on all the HVAC units that were older than 20 years old, and we went up to, I think we had one that was 36 or 37 years old. So we caught up a bunch then. This is the next phase. These will basically be catching up from what was 15 to 20 years old, but that was last year. So these will be 16 to 21 years old. And then from this point forward, we should be able to handle it within our operating budget to maintain these. So this will kind of get us caught up. But this is 13 remaining units at 10 different locations, and they're varying sizes and shapes, and some are rooftop units, some are more like residential units, but I've got the whole list. We did go through the bid process, and we have chosen EME as the contractor to do this.
Questions or comment? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Number 15, approval of a contract extension with Transitions Commute Solutions LLC, third-party operator for fixed route and paratransit services for May 2024 through October 2024, in the total amount of $18,750 per month, to be funded through Connect Douglas budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Ron Roberts.
Good morning.
Morning, Ron.
Chairman, Commissioners, Administration. Yes, a little bit of a cleanup. As you know, we went out for an RFP for third-party operations this past spring, and at the last minute, the one that was chosen backed out, and so we scrambled around to keep the current vendor on. And in that process, we actually realized that I never got the chairman to sign off on this. So I'm going back and correcting an error, and since that we actually have the third-party operations actually in our building and everything's going very well, it's just needed to actually complete the signature for the contract extension while I work with LaTanya for the next RFP, which we are going to put out before November, before the contract expires.
Okay. Questions, comments? Thank you, sir.
Okay. I'm gonna stick around for the next one too.
Oh, you're,
Oh, yes. Number 16, approval of fixed route service changes to discontinue deviated fixed route, also known as flex ride, and non-designated stops.
Yes, sir. So in 2019, I believe our operational procedures, my predecessor brought before the Board of Commissioners our standard operating procedures, our SOPs, and it was approved by the board. So it's kind of an awkward thing, but when we make a tweak or something to our system, I got to come back up here and tell you about it. So this is what we're wanting to do, is actually take the flex routes off. They currently operate from 11 to 2:30. To call the day before. It's kind of with the new routing, we're really wanting to keep on a nicer timetable and not have to split. There's some other modes of transit on down the line that might service this. We'd like to eliminate it, and definitely the flagging down. I'm not sure when or why that started back in the day, but we have to have bus stops and can't just flag buses down. So these are changes to our operational procedures, and I'm here for any questions you may have.
okay. Questions or comments?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair.
So the flex routes, we're going to eliminate those. So is this talking about people who can call and make a reservation to be picked up on a different
Yes, sir.
location?
That's correct. They call within 1 mile of our fixed route, and the route will deviate to those individuals and pick them up, and then rejoin the fixed route in process. And we only allow it from 11 to 2:30 currently. We did some analysis and seen that there's not a lot of people that are taking advantage of this right now. And going forward, though, if this is something that the public really, really, truly wants, this is an avenue forward for microtransit or something else that's outlined in our transit master plan that would be more specific to those needs for those citizens. But for right now, I really like the way our new routes are going. I like the direction that our department is taking, and I just really want to see what we can do to clean up and capitalize on not having to that aspect or that component of our service, and instead just stay on the fixed route and the times that we have set. Now, if we wanted to, or if this becomes such a need that there's a lot of blowback, yeah, we can alter schedules, and we can always reverse that, and we can always, this is just a direction we would like to try as a department for right now.
Okay. I just think about those that, are disadvantaged and cannot make it to that bus stop. Some of those who might have disabilities.
Well, this doesn't impact.
Does disabilities, but those who, maybe can walk, but don't want to walk a mile to get to the bus stop, especially in a day like today when the heat, going to be extremely hot. It could affect some of our seniors from being able to walk that far. And I just think we need to keep that open in mind because, we can sit here and say everybody get to that bus stop, but if that bus stop's not close to where you live, but yet you need that flexibility, and just say, like I mentioned earlier, someone today needs to get there, be it really medically wise or physically wise, can't walk that mile in this heat. I just think we need to be a little bit open-minded about that.
Yes, sir.
I yield back, Chairman.
I do have one thing. This contemplates, though, the new routes and the cleanup that you all's department did so that the routes make a little bit more sense in terms of where they are running. So are people who were previously using this still as far off of the routes as they previously were, or did that cleanup make those routes more accessible?
It's actually kind of a case-by-case basis. In what I was looking at was the number of people that actually have used this type of request, and it really was down to just a very handful of people. So while we might be impacting those 6, 7, 8 people that have used the flex service, I think that the overall advantage is that we do have a system that is on time, is performing well. We know the buses are going to be right where they're supposed to be. The fix to the continuation of it would be to redo the routes, back the headways back out, and allow for extra time during the 11 to 2:30 for these to be completed. But if we, like I said, I just thought it would be interesting if we didn't have it and ran it for a while and see if the real need is there or not.
Is this anticipated to manifest a reduction in cost?
It shouldn't affect too much of the cost. That would be a very granular impact if it was anything, but it does impact the timetables and the scheduling.
And when you say timetables, you mean in addition to the people who are waiting for the bus to get to their next stop?
Correct.
So then those, I guess it's
Right.
6 in one hand, half a dozen in another. Someone's walking in the heat versus waiting in the heat.
Something like that, yes, ma'am.
Okay, I yield back.
Anyone else? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 17, approval of a resolution authorizing the Douglas County Fire and EMS Department to form a mutual aid resource pact, which shall be a public corporation, in order to render and receive aid and assistance for disastrous incident suppression, prevention, and rescue medical responses to and from members of the Georgia Mutual Aid Group, with no impact to the budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Chief Allen.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, Board of Commissioners, Administration. This resolution is for the fire department so we can build a a mutual aid resource pack with our stakeholders, our partners in GMAG, so when we respond to emergencies, for any resources that we don't have, they can help supply to us and vice versa.
Questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you. Number 19 is yours as well. Approval for the Douglas County Fire and EMS Department to enter into a 3-month agreement with Crunch Fitness in the approximate amount of $500 as a marketing distribution location for recruitment efforts, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Chief Allen.
So as a part of our recruitment and our marketing ploy, the fire department is going out and we're reaching out to different agencies to see if they can let us set up shop in their areas to do some marketing to recruit for our employment.
Okay. How many people are you short?
Right now we're about 22, 23.
Okay, that's not as bad as some places, but, okay, anyone else? Did you skip 18?
I did.
Okay.
I was about to go back. Okay, so number 18 is approval for the fire department to enter into a preventive service agreement with Stryker at the cost of $33,294.40 to be funded by the fire department's budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Chief Allen.
This agreement is for the preventive maintenance for our Stryker stretchers for $33,000. Our stretchers they get in bad shape, and to repair them is pretty expensive. So this agreement helps us with the maintenance costs.
Questions or comments?
Yes, Chairman.
Mr. Vice Chair.
So, just so we know, how much is the cost of a stretcher?
The Stryker stretchers run anywhere between $55,000 and $65,000 a piece. They can go upwards of $100,000 depending on time of year in which you get them.
Wow.
Yeah. I yield back, Chairman.
Okay. Anyone else?
While we have you here, I just want to commend the fire department in general for its response this past week to the unfortunate events that occurred in the apartment complex on Chicago Avenue. But I do want the members of the public to recognize that you all's swift response and adequate resourcing helped make that the best of a really bad situation. And so thank you for what you all do.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I second that. Thank you. You having comments? Next, please.
Okay, next is number 20. Approval to accept a deductive change order with the Corbett Group LLC in the amount of $32,216.16 and a time extension for the 2016 SPLOS New Manchester High School sidewalk project, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Solomon Rana.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Board of Commissioners, and County Administration. New Manchester High School sidewalk is a 3/4 of a mile of a sidewalk that connects New Manchester High School with the Bounty Waters Park. Midway into the project, there's an alignment shift that is facilitated by a pedestrian signal and a crosswalk. This change order before you is the first change order on the project that presents a savings of over $32,000 towards the project, and also includes a time extension of about 6 weeks, extending the project completion to July 31st. This extension was warranted because of the excessive lead times in signal equipment ordering. We do plan on opening this up before school starts, and I still think we should be able to finish the project for anywhere from start to mid-July. I'd welcome any questions.
Okay. Questions or comments?
Director Rana, you keep saving us money. We're going to keep making you our favorite. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's the first since I've been there. All right, next.
Thank you. Number 21 is approval to relocate $395,000 from 2016 SPLOST Thornton Road at Riverside Parkway project funds toward traffic signal installations on various county intersections, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Solomon?
So Thornton Road at Riverside Parkway improvements was a 2016 SPLOST project. This project proposed extending the queue length of turn lanes on Thornton and improving the turn radiuses of Riverside as traffic comes onto and off from Thornton Road. One quadrant was addressed with our partnership with the developer. The 3 other quadrants have been picked up by a GDOT funding called Ford program. This will fund and construct this exact project by end of this year. Bidding is expected to happen in summer to fall of this year. Given that project and the proposed improvements already taken care of, the project had a total allocation of $895,000. We are requesting the board to carve out this approximately $400,000 towards traffic signal improvements across various intersections in the county. The 4 intersections that we are looking at is number 1, US 78 at South Sweetwater. Number 2 is Liberty Road at I-20 interchange. 3rd is Blair's Bridge at Bob Arnold, and 4th is Skyview at Sinyard in District 1. This money will be used for equipment purchases, and we will try to keep quite a few items in-house in terms of labor cost and the installation of the signal. And I think this will go a long way because these signals have been warranted for a long time. And because of the funding, we weren't able to install them. So now that this is an opportunity, we're requesting your approval. Thank you.
Questions or comments?
What was the second intersection that you mentioned?
Liberty Road at I-20. This is the interchange, eastbound interchange. Eastbound approach does not have a signal right now.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we will move to number 22, which is approval to accept .01 acres of right-of-way donation on Bowden Street from Floco LLC and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Solomon?
This is Enterprise Rent-A-Car. This is, I'll just start over. So this is proposed Enterprise Rent-A-Car at the intersection of US 78 and Bowden Street. Upon DRC review, they were just shy of the required right-of-way given the roadway classification. This roughly .01 acres, which is a little over 500 square footage of right-of-way donation, makes them compliant and let them complete their developments. We're recommending acceptance of this donation. Thank you.
Questions or comments? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Number 23, approval to accept change order number 1 in the amount of $8,992 with Excelair Construction LLC for this Highway 5 Douglas Boulevard right turn lane project to be funded through the 2016 SPLOST funds and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Solomon?
Highway 5 at Douglas Boulevard right turn lane was kicked off a little over a month ago. The project is currently under construction in utility relocation phase. Upon relocating the utilities, the contractor encountered 2 light poles that have roughly 7 feet deep concrete foundations that had to be removed and weren't initially scoped in the bid. And that's what this change order addresses for a cost of approximately $9,000. This will be funded through SPLOST 2016, and half of this project is to be reimbursed by the city. Thank you.
Okay. Questions, comments? Next.
Okay. Approval to submit an encroachment permit and an indemnity agreement to Georgia Department of Transportation in connection with the Post Road at I-20 interchange project and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Solomon?
Post Road at I-20 proposes 4 turn lanes on the interchange, 2 turn lanes on Post Road onto the ramps, and 2 turn lanes on the ramps onto Post Road. This project will also accompany a signal for the eastbound approach. While the signal process is a standalone phase, these turn lane design has been completed and is ready to be submitted to Georgia Department of Transportation to request their permit before work can begin. This will allow us to submit for a permit, and upon approval, we're anticipating bidding the project out in fall of this year. Thank you.
Questions or comments?
Yes, Chairman.
Mr. Vice Chair.
Even though, as Commissioner Kenner Jones stated, that we're starting to really like you, but I know the citizens of District 4 are about to really like you. Getting off those, both Liberty Road and also Post Road, those eastbound ramps, we've had discussions, we've been there. It's at times dangerous because people get aggravated and they just go ahead and pull out in front of others. So I'm so excited about this coming, but not only that, the right-hand turn lanes, because that traffic in the evenings backs up all the way down to the interstate, and people are waiting for a very long time when all they need to do is just make a right-hand turn. So I'm so excited that these two projects are coming to District 4, and about a timeline, a guesstimated?
So we're expecting October bidding. That will give you anywhere from 6 to 8 months of construction. So signal, you will have from 1 to 3 months. Construction will start in roughly 6 months and take you to spring of 25 for completion. Yes.
All right. Very excited about this. I yield back, Chairman.
Anyone else? Thank you, sir.
Okay, number 25 is approval to accept change order number 1 for the Spine Road project in the amount of $12,125 to be reimbursed by WSA. Change order number 2 in the amount of $24,580, and change order number 3 in the amount of $457,870 with the Summit Construction and Development LLC to be funded by Douglas Ford Reinvestment Plan Phase 1, reimbursable by TAD, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Solomon?
Spine Road is half a mile of a roadway off of Fairburn that is currently under construction. The 3 change orders before you cover individual tasks, so I'll go one by one. Change order 1 covers adjustment of 5 manholes that were previously installed by WSA, and given the road construction now requires adjustment. This was technically WSA's responsibility, but with our contractor mobilized, they've paid us for the service, and we will simply just have our contractor perform the work for the cost. So this will be reimbursed by them. Change order 2 covers a lateral sewer conflict against our proposed drainage pipes. This will be resolved by this change order 2 in the cost of $24,000, and this will basically elevate the sewer line by a few inches to relieve the conflict and lets us complete our construction. And the last change order, which is the highest cost, this is to address the excessive water seepage of roughly at about over 1,000 linear footage of the project that caused failure of the subgrade. So our engineer of record has recommended excavating all of the wet soils, replacing it by appropriate stone, strengthening the subgrade, and then installing our drainage systems, and then road and sidewalks, the components that have to go upon it. All 3 change orders are reimbursable in some way, shape, or form, and we're recommending approval on all 3. Thank you.
Okay. Questions, comments?
Yes, Chair.
Yes.
You've brought nothing but good news today. District 2 is definitely excited about the Spine Road project coming, and I'm glad to see that it's going to be built in a very safe manner, so we appreciate you all paying attention to that, but I want to make sure that the residents of District 2 know what that improvement is going to do for their quality of life, traffic on the road, being able to access things in District 2, so we're very excited to see that. You've sealed the deal for yourself.
Next.
Number 26, approval of a resolution of the Board of Commissioners calling for a referendum imposing a 1% transportation special purpose local option sales tax, T-SPLOST, as authorized by the state of Georgia, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Solomon Rana.
Yes, I have a brief presentation for you, so give me just a second while I pull it up. All right. Thank you, Board, for this opportunity. The purpose of this presentation is to highlight some of the current needs, some of the opportunities that are coming our way, and to establish and to explore an option to establish dedicated funding source for improvement of transportation across the county. Per state law, upon Board's approval, the citizens could be asked a question in November ballot whether a 1% additional sales tax should be imposed for transportation improvement and traffic congestion relief efforts across the county. This T-Splosh, proposed T-Splosh, will potentially generate over $100 million of funds towards transportation improvements. These tax dollars would be focused on transportation improvements with a mix of maintenance and new projects. The project benefits will include safety, congestion relief, enhanced mobility, and improved quality of life for all citizens. Being one of the metro counties, we do own vast number of assets. Douglas County has over 800 miles of roadway, and we're responsible for maintaining 720 miles of those roadway mileage. We also have 35 miles of dirt roads, 93 bridges, various signals, signs, over 40,000 signs, and 400 miles of roadway striping. This infrastructure combined is worth over $800 million, and we are responsible for maintenance of this infrastructure. This infrastructure also supports approximately 100,000 daily commuters on our roadway. So as a county, we're not only responsible for the maintenance, but also for operational effectiveness and the safety of everyday riders on our roads. We're also not been immune to the rapid growth within the metro region, and that has resulted in some of the pinch points across the county, resulting in overwhelmed infrastructures in terms of transportation. As of to date, we've utilized all funding mechanisms that were available, from 2 SPLOST programs to state grants to capital transportation fund within county, and federal funding through ARC and some competitive grants that we've secured from US DOT. On the screen, you see some of the allocations we received and some of the projects that were supported by each funding source. Using these funds, we've made a great accomplishments along the way, with various projects completed, few underway, and a few projects coming up very soon. The projects that we've completed with the funding utilized had a shared focus of roadway capacity enhancements, multimodal improvements, for example, sidewalks, trails, and then also safety improvements across the county. While all of these programs, the fundings are at capacity, our needs across the county continue to grow. Taking a quick glance on our maintenance backlog can project a trend that we're seeing across the county in terms of road surfacing, with ownership of 720 miles of roadway. With a life cycle of 20 years, we should be resurfacing 36 miles every year. Given the existing funding sources, we're only able to resurface 6 miles. Traffic signs, we have over 40,000 traffic signs with a life cycle of 10 years. We should be replacing over 4,000 signs, but given the existing funding, we can only fund about 1/4 of that. Dirt roads, we have about 35 miles of dirt roads across the county, with over 70% of them in District 4. Those dirt roads have not been paved over the past 10 to 20 years. This year, we are planning to start that practice with the very little SPLOST allocations that we could set aside for them, and we'll be coming back to the board for that effort, but that's roughly 1.5 miles out of the 35 in over 20 years. So with beyond our needs, there's a lot of opportunities coming our way. We see that a lot of growth that comes towards Douglas County often triggers very various or quick response needs. For example, turn lanes, traffic signals. As a department, we don't have any set-alone funding that could support that minor enhancements that have relatively low cost but have very high impact on everyday operations. Secondly, we just submitted a $71 million federal grant application that will require a $14 million local match. A set-aside funding resource will be needed if we are granted those funds, just to match the 20%, which is the bare minimum in federal funding. Lastly, federal government is investing historic levels in transportation improvements through competitive grants and federal allocations for MPOs. We have had a high success rate in securing a lot of federal and state funding. However, a set-alone funding will allow us to comfortably and aggressively pursue these grants as they come up, given that we have the 20 to 30% matches to support these efforts. With that, the proposed categories or priorities of this program will be maintenance, new projects, and federal grants. In maintenance, we will focus on resurfacing and dirt road paving. In new projects, we will address all all levels of county needs that could be funded at local level. That will include intersection improvements, turn lanes, signals. Federal grants will support mega projects. For example, the 4 projects submitted under the federal funding application to ARC. For example, Lee Road Extension, Chattahoochee Trail, 11 miles of a trail connecting Boundary Waters to Sweetwater Creek, and various other similar projects. With that, we will also support the competitive grants. For example, there are a lot of safety and technology grants that are out there that will require 20 to 30% of the match, and with having that set-aside funding will help us comfortably pursue those opportunities. That being said, I will conclude the presentation by saying that transportation is a dire need of the county, and a set-alone funding of this need will alleviate its burden from the other sources. And with that, I'll welcome any questions you may have.
Questions or comments?
Yes, Chairman.
Mr. Vice Chair.
All right. Appreciate the citizens already reaching out to us about this T-Splosh. I guess it was made known that this is going to be on the agenda. Just to make some comments here so that they're aware that, you know, we're just asking has to be done by the state for us to at least get this on the ballot, correct? We have to send this to the state?
So this goes to our elections office, who will then coordinate all the mandated regulations.
Okay, but we have to approve this first before we can even get it out there, correct?
Exactly, yes, sir.
Okay, so then once approved, the citizens can then in November choose whether they want the T-Splosh or not. But some things we need to look at is, and you and I have been talking about this, as you mentioned here, we really need to be doing about 36 miles a year, and we're only doing 6?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I appreciate you getting me this info. 25 miles of unpaved roads are in District 4. And you and I have had many conversations. I've gotten many emails since taking office in regards to when can this road be paved. I've been promised that this road would be paved for years and years and years. But the money, people got to understand is, and I got to educate on this as well, is it costs us $450,000 a year, a mile to just resurface, correct?
Yes, sir.
$850,000 to pave a dirt road, correct?
Yes, sir.
That adds up a lot of money when you're talking about 25 miles or in a total of 35 miles that need to be paved in Douglas County. We simply just don't have the funding to correct all this, and if this is not approved, we're going to continue on the path that we're going on now, which we're playing catch up, which means we'll never catch up because right now we're 20 years behind, correct?
That is right.
So I hope our citizens, you know, when you think about this, it's not that we're wanting to impose an additional tax on anyone, but to achieve what we're being asked to do, this is the only option that we looked at that we could possibly do. You know, it's not just on the tax is going to be on our citizens. Also, we're on that main corridor of I-20. This is all those who travel through our county and stop and get gas or buy items at our store or stay in our county or go out to eat. So they will help fund the improvements to these roads to our county. But I just ask everyone to please just consider this, especially those in District 4 that live on those dirt roads, who are asking for these dirt roads to be paved. I ask for you to please advocate for this, because that is the only way we're ever going to be able to get to complete what needs to be done in regards to resurfacing and catch up our maintenance to our roads. And I yield back, Chairman.
Commissioner Jones?
I would just echo everything that Commissioner Alcaraz just said. I get calls daily from residents with concerns about potholes. The turn radius is not wide enough, and this is going to allow us or permit us the funding to be able to do that. So if that has been a priority of yours as a citizen, and you've contacted your commissioner about it, I implore you to advocate for this. Again, it's not going to be on the ballot unless we approve it, and I think that it is absolutely a much-needed idea. It's time for Douglas County to stop playing catch-up and to actually become a functioning metro county, and this is one of the ways we're going to be able to do that. I yield back, Chairman.
Thank you, dear. How many miles would be paved, Sullivan, if this were passed?
Sir, we anticipate paving over 200 miles under our T-SPLOST program.
Okay. Another question, how many miles need to be paved?
So
At the
roughly
present time?
in county, we've got about 30 to 40% of roadway that's in poor or marginal condition. That comes out to about 250, 260 miles. And given where we are today, we may be able to get to that point with just this one singular plan. But the problem is when we programmed SPLOST 5 years before, the cost tripled over time. So just counting for those variables, it may limit us, but I think we'll be able to make a significant impact in terms of resurfacing.
Okay. You know, I hear people in this community say, you've taxed us enough, and I don't disagree with them, being a senior citizen that I am. But I think this is probably the fairest tax that we can impose on somebody, because if you don't spend much, you don't pay much. And not only that, as the vice chair said, a lot of the money comes from outside the county. So keep that in mind, and listen, we're not imposing this on you. It's your opportunity as a community. If you think that this is something that we really need to do and you're willing to pay the extra penny, then vote yes. If you don't think so, vote no. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Number 27, approval to amend the SPLOST 2022 project list to include a DOT admin building and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Solomon, last one.
Last one. For SPLOST 22, this board approved facilities or a capital improvement list for DOT division to fund two major projects. One was transfer station at the cost of $5 million and a DOT maintenance facility at the cost of $3.5 million, with a total allocation towards building of $8.5 million. Plus, we had $1.5 million in insurance payout for back when the DOT maintenance facility burned. Over time, we've started design on the maintenance facility at the cost of $3 million. Transfer station is underway with projected groundbreaking by fall of this year, with a projected cost of $4 million. And with some of the savings that will be generated, we're proposing to add a DOT admin building at the cost of $2.5 million, which will be currently proposed to be located at the lower parking lot of the transportation center where Connect Douglas is housed. End of the day, the bracket in terms of finances stays the same. It's just some reallocation of the funds to program this new line item within this facilities bracket of transportation. I'd welcome any questions.
Questions or comments? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to recognize our new county attorney, if she'd come forward.
Good morning.
Good morning, Lorraine. How are you today?
I am amazing. Of all the things I've learned since being in this role, I didn't realize your meetings were in this room. But I made it.
Well, we're glad to have you here today, and we expect big things from you. And you come highly recommended, and your resume is not too bad either. So we're glad to have you here. Commissioner, do you have any comments or questions you'd like to ask her?
No questions, but I also welcome you.
Thank you very
I
much.
appreciate our first meeting. You know, I think we all, you know, there's a personality that sometimes you just click with people, and we did. And so I appreciate your excitement to come and help us out with all the matters that we have, and look forward to you serving our county well.
Thank you very much.
I yield back, Chairman.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. So excited to have you.
Thank you.
I yield back.
Mr. Chairman, I actually have an item along with, I think Tiffany was coming up with me, on the agenda, number 28 or 29 on your agenda.
Yes.
28. I'll go ahead and read it. It's
Staff
approval of a
attorney.
staff attorney position to be funded through the legal department budget.
Don't move. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So on your agenda is the opportunity for the approval of an assistant county attorney. And speaking with most of you when I met you initially was the idea to have somewhat of a hybrid approach to your legal services, and this would allow that to happen. The range of salary is $100,000 to $150,000. In discussing this with county administration, we envisioned someone that could be day-to-day 9 to 5 in the county administration building, available for staff and commissioners alike. If there are any day-to-day issues, obviously that person would be supervised by me and also get direction and assignments from the county attorney as well.
Okay. Questions or comments?
I do. I just
Chairman Jones.
first want to say thank you for being open to having this hybrid approach. I want to make sure that the residents are aware that this will be a significant cost savings to our taxpayers, because we will not have to farm out day-to-day tasks. It also gives a unique opportunity for the attorney that services Douglas County to be uniquely enmeshed in the needs of our county, because what works for some may not work for us and vice versa. So I think from just a legal mechanism in general that this is going to be monumental for the county, but from a cost-saving perspective, this is going to be great. So thank you for being open to that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I would personally like to see you start that person, that lower end of that salary spectrum. If they turn out to be great and somebody that we enjoy having and somebody that's positive for this community, then we can consider maybe a higher salary. But this person's going to be looking at contracts, I guess, most of the time and that sort of stuff, and handling day-to-day simple operations from a law perspective. And you're going to be the expert, right? So,
that's correct.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I concur with Chairman. You know, that lower part of that salary would be great if we could get it. But also, I think it would be good to have someone here on a daily basis, because, you know, not all of us are attorneys like Commissioner Kenner Jones. So we have legal questions. I know the previous county attorney, I called quite a bit and with certain concerns. So it'd be great to have someone here whenever we need them. I yield back, Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And number 29, we have the 2024 budget revisit. Tiffany Stewart-Stanley.
Good morning, Chairman, Vice Chair, Commissioner Kenner Jones, County Administration. So I am here before you today with our 2024 initial budget revisit. We did an assessment, the Chief Financial Officer under the direction of the County Administrator and myself, as well as the finance team. And we're coming before you today with some, I would say, urgent or necessary adjustments that need to happen within the next week or so, due to funding running out from some of the ARPA grants that we received in the past years. We will be back before you, however, for some more housekeeping adjustments and additional transfers and modifications. But today, these are the things that are pressing that we need to ask the board to approve. Some of the positions, they are all mostly judicial positions or attorney positions that are more ARPA funded, and I will just list them. The first one is in the Public Defender's Office, a legal assistant secretary that was funded by ARPA. The Solicitor's Office is asking for an assistant solicitor that was funded by ARPA. The State Court has a litigation case manager that was funded by ARPA. The Superior Court is asking for 2 reentry specialist positions previously funded by a grant as well. And then we have a couple additional asks. The Tax Commissioner, these are for some budget requests that were not previously approved, but these are staffing requests in the amount of $217,000, as well as some state court reporter cost in the amount of $23,500. The state court has done an assessment of their budget, and then they need these costs in order to be able to efficiently operate the court with their court reporters. And then we are also requesting 2 deputy court clerk positions for the magistrate court judge. These costs for this year total $417,903.13. However, if this is approved and the board chooses to move forward and fund these positions next year, everything except for the court reporter costs will be recurring. And those costs would be roughly $696,203.50. So if this is approved, there will be a cost associated that will be going forward that will be higher than the cost we're asking for this year. And this is in addition to, we just want to make sure, the ARPA positions that were already funded through the district attorney's office. We provided 5 positions that this year will cost $250,011.44, but next year will cost $600,027.46. So this will be a total adjustment for this year of $667,914.57. And if we choose to fund these items next year, it will be $1,296,230.96. So we're just asking for these initial adjustments to be approved by the board. Now yield for questions.
Questions or comments?
What are the 2, is the tax commissioner here? What are the 2 new staffing requests?
So the 2 new staffing requests are actually for the magistrate court. These are deputy clerk positions that she is saying that is essential for her court, that's urgent, that she needs those in order to be able to function due to an increase in filings in her court. The tax commissioner are some budget requests for staffing requests of some things that we had to modify or clarify from last year that he asked for, and we told him we revisit it at this time, and we're bringing it forward today, and we're recommending approval for that for $217,000.
And these ARPA-funded positions, were they not advertised as temporary positions?
They were.
And so the assumption would be that once that funding ran out, that those positions would be terminated?
That is correct. That was the assumption, and we did tell them that. However, during the assessment of their organizations, they are saying that they really need these positions in order to be able to continue at the level that they're doing now. And so that's why the recommendation is coming forward before you to ask us if we could possibly keep these positions in the budget.
And so it's my understanding that these positions were needed to catch up COVID backlogs and things of that nature. So is there still a backlog happening currently?
Now, that I do not know if it's a backlog, but I do know that from my discussions with everyone, and I did talk to every department, is that to take these positions away would create a deficit in their department in the way that they operate. I don't know if it's necessarily the backlog or is that they've been using these staff people and now they've got them in the system and they need them in order to continue the process that they have going.
Have the case counts across the various different courts changed significantly from prior to COVID to currently?
I would have to get you that information because I don't have that with me right now. But I can have that for you today. I can talk to these courts.
I yield.
Any questions? All right. You have any comments?
Yes, Chairman. Just a note going forward. We've had some discussion on this when this came up and was brought before us, all these requests from the DA's office and the various different courts is, looking at this, what was approved before, now we're having to come back and absorb these costs out of our general fund budget or operating budget. And as we go forward, we're going to look at that, or I would ask that this commissioners look at this to really think about this. If these grant-funded positions come available, I really expect our departments that if those grants go away, that they just have to readjust and understand that they're no longer going to be funded. We can't keep, absorbing these costs from these grant-provided positions. Some of these new requests, such as I see the court reporter, I completely understand. My opinion on the magistrate, the amount of citizens that is, live in our county, back some years ago, it was like, 120, 115, 120. Now we're at 144. And magistrate, does evictions, warrants, and so many more. So, you know, I can understand that need of, you know, a couple of more assistants in her office. But all these others, and us, I ask the Board of Commissioners to look at this going forward, that we really think about these grant-provided positions, and the departments just have to know if those grants go away, so do those positions, or we just don't approve them. I yield back, Chairman.
Anyone else?
I would just ask, I see here that once we approve this, that it will be reoccurring through 2025. I would ask that we condition, if this should get approved, that it be conditioned just through the remainder of the year to December, and that we readdress this under the new budget in 2025 in January. And I would want to be able to assess what the actual need is, what the case count is in these courts, what are the new staffing requests going forward, because this is, I mean, you've just put a number in front of us, but I cannot go back to any of my constituents and say that this was an absolute need without that information. And I think that in the interest of integrity and transparency, that we be able to explain why this is necessary. Or otherwise, I would not be comfortable voting to have this go forward, continuing throughout 2025.
And we can get with all of these and the previously approved ones and get that information for you to make that assessment.
Thank you.
Well, I think that decisions to hire people in this county government need to be made by the Board of Commissioners and the constitutional officers, and it be funded by us. To me, it's a shell game for the federal government to offer us something for 3 years, and then they go away, and then we have to fund it ourselves. And I've not found any administrator yet that once they had these positions, they wanted to get rid of them after the grant was over. So we ought to make decisions based on what our needs are, not based on what grants are available. Thank you. Next.
Thank you. Next is the approval of expenses. So you would just need to be prepared to approve that tomorrow. And then we will have discussion items to be discussed in executive session. And that concludes the agenda.
We're done. All right. A motion to adjourn to executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Chairman, what all matters are we going into executive session for? Is it just board appointments?
Personnel and real estate?
Real estate, personnel.
Personnel and real estate.
Legal matters, litigation.
Okay. All right. We'll convene until tomorrow. Meeting gets upstairs, or?
Yes, we'll go upstairs.
All right.
We need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Raise your hand. All opposed, same sign. Thank you.